Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeanette Gill. I am the Development Specialist with Green Tech SkillNet. I'm here this morning with Siobhan Wall and Martin Walsh from SETU, who are lecturers on the programme, which starts in February. I'm going to hand you over in a minute to Siobhan and Martin, but just to let you know that this programme was an initiative that was developed between a Skills Advisory Council here in Green Tech SkillNet and in conjunction with SETU. So this has been designed with working people in mind and working times. I'll hand over to Martin now, who will be talking about the programme. If you have any queries during the webinar, just put them into chat and we'll answer them as quickly as we can. Maybe wait till the end and we'll take all questions together. Okay, so Martin, I'll hand over to you.
Lovely, thanks, Jeanette. So I'm just going to share a couple of slides there. Just give me 1 sec now. I'll get them up. You can see those slides, okay? Someone might just let me know just to be sure.
Yes, I can see them fine, Martin. Thanks.
Lovely, thanks, Jeanette.
I can see.
Perfect. Thanks for seeing. So I'll run through a couple of quick slides, just a brief overview of the program, the entry requirements, when it's going to run, and then we'll have a look at the individual modules that are on it. We'll try not keep it too long, maybe 15-20 minutes, and then at the end we'll have time for questions and answers, as Jeanette said. If you want to throw any questions as you go along in the chat, or if you want to throw up a raise hand at the end, then we can just ask and answer as we get there. So the program itself, it's a level 7 program. So it's a certificate. It's not a full degree award. It's 40 credits, which means you'll be taking 8 modules. And as Jeanette said, it's been designed in partnership between SETU and the Green Tech SkillNet, then in partnership then with industry bodies that have informed the program. The program itself then, so we have 40 credits, 8 modules, and it's focused on 3 kind of broad areas: renewables, high voltage, and then safety in the context of renewables and high voltage systems. The program itself is going to run from January to May. Now, I know we're in January at the minute, but the actual start date is the 15th of February. Just the semester in SETU runs from January to May. And if you sign up to take it now, you will take 2 modules, which is photovoltaic systems and energy storage. So we look at PV and battery storage systems and feasibility studies. And you'll also look at energy systems, law and policy. And we'll take those both together. The modules all run on a Friday, so it's 1 day a week. As Jeanette said, we've kind of designed this around working people. So there's 1 day each week that you need to come onto campus, and we'll do everything on that 1 day. And then it'll run over, I think it's 8 Fridays, maybe Siobhan, if I have that off. I think it's about that over the semester. And we have a full schedule. If you need it, we can share it afterwards. That follows on in September 25 to December then with high voltage power grids and infrastructure, high voltage safety and compliance. And then we do a wind energy module on feasibility studies for wind. And then the following January, high voltage switchgear and protection, high voltage grid connections plan and design, and high voltage safe work and practice. And then that is the full combined 40 credits for the level 7 certificate in renewable energy systems. And we look at each of those in a little more detail in a second. Just for entry to the program, there's an application. I know Jeanette has sent it around and hopefully you've all received it. But the deadline for the application is the 1st of February. We'll start issuing offers shortly for anyone that's applied and met the minimum requirements. We set the minimum requirement as being a relevant level 6 qualification, which is anything in electrical trade, electrical engineering, energy engineering, or related disciplines. Related disciplines can be quite broad and also depends on the background knowledge of an individual. But in the application process, myself and Siobhan and the rest of the team will review it. And if you meet the requirements, then you'll be issued an offer. You might be asked to follow up with some additional details if needs be. But we'll also take into account people's backgrounds. There's a concept of recognition of prior learning. So if you've worked in related disciplines, perhaps it's in HVAC, facilities, energy, building energy management, wind or solar in the industry at all, maintenance technicians, facilities, quantity surveyors, electrical estimators, any of those may have a background And then this can add on as an additional knowledge step that might help you progress in your career. So do reach out if you don't have the level 6 but are still working in the area and would like to upskill. And we can take any questions on that, maybe specifically at the end. And Jeanette has just popped in the application link there if anyone needs it. How we're going to deliver the program is a blended format. Now, this semester it'll all actually be in person, the 2 modules, because we're starting a little later in the semester. We're going to run it all in person on a Friday. In subsequent semesters, though, normally what we'll do is you will have 2 hours of 3 classes on a Friday, and you do a little bit online during the week. So there'll be a video that you'll watch, or an assignment work that you'll complete, or a quiz or something. And then on Friday, you come on campus and do the more hands-on work, or the simulation, or the software. We also, during the semester, and Siobhan might talk about this a bit more in her section, she's more involved in the organisation of them. We'll usually organise some site visits, be it on the high voltage side, the safety side, or on the energy, or something that really ideally combines them all. Typically, really, they don't exist in isolation. How the programme is assessed then. So the programme is really designed to learn by doing. So a lot of the work in the modules is to do a real world problem in the field. And I'll talk about this a bit more in a slide or two, but say for the solar one, that's the first module that you'll take. We will take a problem-based learning approach where we'll do a solar feasibility study for one of the recent projects that's gone through the Renewable Energy Support Schemes. We'll pick a grid scale project, like something like from Tullabeg, 100 megawatt installation. We'll do a financial feasibility study, analyze the energy output, look at the incorporation of battery storage, and we'll learn about those individual topics by doing the analysis. How you're assessed on that then is, as part of that problem-based learning, typically you would do a report, perhaps, sometimes as a group, sometimes individually, and then there is an examination as well that makes up the rest of the content. Some of the continuous assessment is also based around multiple choice questions that you might complete online, but it differs in each module. Overall then, on the content, the renewable side said is primarily based around completing feasibility studies, as that's where we'd envisage the main employment in the area if you're looking to move towards the energy side is in particular, and then the associated law and policy that supports that. Let Siobhan talk about the high voltage and the safety side in a minute, as that's in our area. Quickly, just to look at the 2 modules then on the energy side. Photovoltaic systems and energy storage is the first one that you would take, which would start on February 14th, on the first Friday. In there, what we will look at is general solar resource levels. We will primarily keep it in an Irish context, because that's ultimately where all of you are coming from and primarily where you're likely to work, but we can also look at it in a more European or global context as well. We look at how a PV panel actually works, like the physical working principle. How is it when I shine light on a PV panel? Do I get a current out the far side? And then we look at the electrical aspects of how we actually interface those PV systems then into the grid. And that will tie into other modules that you'll take on the high voltage side. Again, that I'll let Siobhan talk about in a minute. As PV systems are quite intermittent in nature and very seasonal, storage is quite a linked topic. So within this module, we'll also look at energy storage systems, primarily looking at battery energy storage as the predominant technology. So looking at lithium ion battery storage, both for grid scale applications and also for commercial residential applications. Ultimately, the main work of the module will be around carrying out this feasibility study. The software that we use for the feasibility studies is the industry standard software. Now, for PV studies, there's a number of industry standard software. The particular one that we're using is PVSYST, which we have licenses for on campus, and we can also assist you in getting a student license for and doing the work yourself. We'll use that to carry out a full feasibility study for an actual grid scale project. Now, we'll focus on the grid scale because a larger project like that lends itself to the group-based project that we'll do, but the same work that we'll do would also apply for auto production, which is generation of PV in commercial, industrial, or residential properties as well. And the same work that we look at for incorporating battery storage with grid will scale down to look at domestic side as well, and industrial and commercial. So it'll give you an understanding of carrying out a financial feasibility study of PV systems across the board. The following semester then, which will be September to December, we will look at wind energy. And essentially, we're doing the same thing as what I've just talked about. So I won't go as much detail, which is what are the resource levels? How do we look at the data? How do we understand how a wind turbine works? And carrying out a feasibility study using industry standard software. The software in this case, there's not as many options. Wind is a bit more specialized than the solar side, because we don't really do domestic wind. So it's only large scale grid connected projects or in certain applications for industrial sites. But the software that we'll be using is WASP, which is one of the primarily used industry packages. With that, we'll take a project, probably just thinking ahead because of what's going on. We look at the project off the Waterford coast, given where we are. The next auction in the Renewable Energy Support Scheme will be Tonua, 900 megawatt installation off the Waterford coast between Elvick Head and off Tramore. So we'll carry out, again, a financial feasibility study, how much energy we'll get out of this, what kind of costings, how much do we think we can sell the energy for, and do that as a group project. Along with this in the wind energy, like on the solar side, where storage is important and battery is the primary thing we'll couple with solar. With wind, we will primarily couple what's called power to X applications, where we look at the incorporation of green molecules, primarily the production of green hydrogen, which will be something that will become more predominant in a post-2030 timeframe. So we get a good understanding of the primary energy generation technologies that we will see in Ireland, both immediately and in the near future, which there's a lot of good jobs in. From here, then, that leads into the high voltage side. So I'll let Siobhan speak about that.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Hi, my name is Siobhan Wall. I am involved in teaching electrical engineering here at SETU Waterford. And the modules that we are delivering on this program in the area of high voltage are high voltage power grid and infrastructure. This is an overview of the Irish electrical transmission system, looking at the differences and voltage levels between transmission systems and distribution systems, looking at radial systems, radial networks, mesh networks, then also looking at the types of cables that you would use for 110 kV or 220 kV, underground, overground, looking at overhead lines, the routing and structures of these lines. There'll also be an overview of the single electricity market, transmission side and demand side metering and real-time pricing. And then there's a kind of looking at distributed generation. How will you actually connect a wind farm and a solar farm into the grid, and what are the steps that you need to go through to do that? In this case, it's a 50% exam, and then there's 50% continuous assessment. Generally, what the continuous assessment in this module will consist of case studies and a field trip. We have pretty good contacts with companies over the last 2 years, that generally if there is like we can contact Sure Engineering or H&V, and if there's a project that's coming near commissioning, they will generally help to arrange some sort of site visit. As part of the site visit, you're usually given some upfront information because we'd request that you write a report and submit that to us. So that would all be part of the assessment. We generally will organise maybe one off-site day per semester. We can't really do much more than that because it takes it takes way too much time from lecturing. There will be some recorded content, but this typically takes place 2 hours a week on a Friday, and is actually delivered in parallel with another group that are also taking this. Then if we go on to the next, so in semester 2, which will be in January 2025, following on from the high voltage grid, we do high voltage switchgear and protection systems. Here we're focusing in on the individual elements of a substation or a high voltage installation. We're looking at the differences between AIS and GIS. Then we're looking at all the ancillary equipment. So you'll be looking at circuit breakers, earth disconnect switches, surge arresters, and then as well as that, there will be, we'll also look at the transformer, construction and testing of transformers, selection of transformers, and there will be some reviewing of safety relays and protection schemes for high voltage systems. Now, this is like in other programs, this could be 3 separate modules. So, you know, we'll be combining it. There will be an exam and then online tutorials, and there'll be some laboratory and workshop sessions. So we have some, we're currently installing a high voltage lab on site. So there will be some hands-on classes to do with that. And the next module is called Grid Connection and Planning. So what this is really if I am, connecting a wind farm or a solar farm to the grid, what do I need to do? How do I select the site for my substation? In terms of where, what sort of environmental impact will it have? And also, how close is it to the nearest? Is it going to be connected into the 110 kV network, or is going to be connected in at 38 kV? And how much will that cost, and what's the feasibility of the project? Then we look at how is a substation laid out, what are the different types of layouts typically used in Ireland as recommended by EirGrid, single bus, double bus, and that type of thing. We'll also look at the earthing systems and lightning system protections in a substation, how to lay out an earthing grid, how to conduct soil resistivity tests. We'll review the auxiliary systems that go into a substation, the mechanical, electrical, and civil design of a substation. This module is 100% CA. Typically, there'll be lectures. A site visit will be incorporated as part of this as well, where you'll go to a substation. Previously, we've gone to see substations in with the ESB and with Sure Engineering, and there'll also be a significant drawing project associated with this. So you'll actually be doing the layout for a substation and sizing the equipment and doing the calculations associated with that. So those are the 3 high voltage modules that you'll be doing on this course. So the next major topic that is a part of this program is safety. So as some of you probably know from as being practicing electricians, there are no regulations relating to over 1 kV in Ireland. Now, there are new rules out that have been released. I think they're very last year, but prior to this, a lot of people were using, we'll say, the UK safety requirements when working with high voltage. So what we're doing is looking at the background, looking at what do you need to do to be in compliance when you are working on a high voltage project. What are your legal requirements? What organizations? The role of the HSA, the role of the HSA and Safety Welfare Work Act. Then looking at what are the duties of a project supervisor in the design process and at the construction stage. You'll be looking at how to create site-specific safety statements and how to do risk assessment method statements for a particular project. And then you'll look at, legislation pertaining to overhead lines and underground cables. Again, this module is 100% continuous assessment. You'll do case studies. This module it's 2 hours online during the week, usually pre-recorded lectures that you watch, and then a 1 hour of meeting with the lecturer with any questions or queries you have on the work that you need to do. The assessment is a mix of written work and quizzes, online quizzes, to cover a certain material. So that's the first semester. The second semester is relating to the actual cross-boundary the main aim of this is that you're going to wind up developing a switching plan for connecting your project to the grid. So you're looking at the requirements of power installations exceeding 1 kV. You're looking at what you need to operate electrical installations, what type of tools, equipment, how to set up site safely. The ESB telemus and cross-boundary procedures will be reviewed and gone through, and requirements for PV and wind installations will also be reviewed. As I said, the main outcome of this is that you'll be able to prepare a safe switching plan and the associated documents for a project. Again, this is 100% continuous assessment, and it will be 2 hours of pre-recorded lectures during the week, and then there'll be, currently it's delivered online. We may decide to deliver it for 1 hour on campus in SETU Waterford, but that can be discussed with the student group. But that's the high voltage safety, the 2 high voltage safety modules. So that's everything from my end. And I suppose, as Martin has said, any questions?
Any questions from anybody there?
James?
James? You'd like to come
Hi,
in?
yeah.
Question there for, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Pat, I'll come back to you. James, if you want to, yeah.
So, how flexible is the attendance on a Friday? So, I work for a construction engineering company in Clonmel called CPAM, and I currently have 500 megawatts of battery storage, either in development, under construction, or in commissioning. So, I'm traveling all the time across Ireland, UK, Europe. It would be hard for me to commit to be there on a Friday, but obviously I want to take the course. Is there an option to attend Friday remotely?
It's difficult to do a fully remote, to be honest, James, because a lot of the software that's required needs licenses that are expensive and only available within the campus, in particular for the feasibility study aspects of it. So it would be hard to do it fully remote. If you missed a session or two, I think you would be okay in catching up. But if you would have to miss more than you could attend, I think that might be challenging for sure.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's difficult to say what Fridays are around. I'm sure it wouldn't be every Friday, but yeah, I suppose something I need to figure out myself before I come back.
Yeah. I suppose we run a similar course in high voltage installations, and again, like that, we have a lot of people who are on the course. They needed a fair commitment from their company to allow them to free them up on Fridays. But we did see that they're extraordinarily busy, especially if you're getting close to the commissioning stage of a project. So there's a degree of flexibility, but the onus is on the student to make up what they're missing. And by saying a degree of flexibility, I think Martin's comment on, if you think you're going to be missing more than you're attending, then this is probably not the course for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Pat, did you want to come in next?
Yeah, it was more for Siobhan. I think someone else asked a question there. I've actually applied for the other, it's a HV course that you're running as well, Siobhan, I think, in SETU. I think I was talking to you last week on the phone, actually.
Yeah.
But this is a different course, or it's just running in tandem with it, is it? Or
there are 3 shared modules, but the others are separate. Yeah. So a lot of the material is similar. I suppose the difference, the biggest difference, is that there's no industrial portfolio component in this. So this is a 40 credit course. There isn't a requirement that you have to have access to high voltage projects, where you would actually be conducting hands-on work at your work environment. And this has more of a, if you're there's a feasibility and planning aspect to this that isn't in the high voltage installation program.
no, I understand. Yeah, no, that's grand. All right, thanks.
Amit, does that answer your question as well? Is it possible just to take the HV related module, skipping the others?
Oh, right. That's interesting. I think I'd have to talk and discuss that, Martin. You probably can obtain single credit. How that gets costed, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm on mute. You couldn't take them for any kind of accredited award, Amit. You may be able to take them as individual modules, but I don't think it'd apply underneath this funding that Jeanette is linking.
Yeah, you probably have to pay for them module by module.
You know, the program is designed as you would take the suite of modules to eight individual ones together and then come out with a level 7 award. Yeah. Because the modules also, just if I skim back just a little, you can see there's a lot of crossover between some of the high voltage modules and the energy, where you were doing a feasibility study on a wind farm and you're looking at how to integrate a wind farm into the grid. And you're going to do the financial feasibility of a wind or solar project while looking at how the market on the day ahead market and the real time and the balancing work in a separate module. So they all kind of tie together and they're designed to build off each other.
and I don't know what we could do on funding for individual modules.
Mm.
So, any more questions from anybody?
Yes, I have a question. Because I'm on Dublin, I don't know all of them, but committing to go every Friday, like you said, you have to, your employee to commit with that. And at the moment, I'm looking for a job. So for me, commit with the course and then I find the job doesn't agree with that would be an issue for me, would be bad on both sides. So I would like to know what's the employability, what's the marketing's looking on that? Because I did the renewables course last year, was great, but probably because I don't have a background on I don't have a graduation on technical skills on engineering. I have lots of um, experience on the market. I worked over 15 years with gas and electricity, high voltage commissioning things, but I don't have the graduation on that. So I found quite hard to get into the market at the moment. I thought would be much easier, but doesn't seem that. So to commit with a course, which I would love to do that course, really, I need to know a bit more like what's the level of employability with that if I'm doing the course or after I finish that.
I'll answer first, but I'm sure Siobhan and Martin can contribute to that. One of the reasons we built this course is that our members, which are companies, asked us for it. They said there was a huge need in the market for this course. I don't know what to say to you, Marcia. I'd say get a qualification and then your prior learning will come into that. But I would say without a qualification, you will find it harder.
Okay.
So Siobhan, Martin, have you anything to add to that?
Sean, do you want? Is my mic coming through?
Oh, yeah, your mic is coming through. Yeah.
Sorry, I hit off it there. I thought I might have knocked it out. There is a lot of jobs, particularly in the energy feasibility side, in terms of PV at the minute, and wind will come more online as we see some of the ORES projects, the offshore renewables kick in. Like it is a big area of employment, as Jeanette said. Industry bodies are looking for people with these skill sets. Sean, on the HV side or on the electrical side?
Again, I've just, without a technical background, these modules might be quite challenging. There is a minimum entry requirement that we would have to look at for every student. So I'm not sure, without being able to review your particular RPL, your RPL, there may be other programs that might be more suitable. I know where you're coming from. It can be very difficult to get a job in the engineering side. They do tend to look for a level 6 or a level 7 in electrical or electrical trades or something in that area, energy. This is really seen as an addition to a technical qualification, not instead of a technical qualification.
Okay.
Would be my feeling to the background to the course.
Okay, I understand. So would be better really I go back to level 6 or 7 on electricals or something like that.
Yeah, and
And
maybe
then I
look
can
at
add all
yeah.
my experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
I think
because
really, if you're based in Dublin, you might look at TUD and see what they're offering at night. That would be what that's just career advice from me, which has nothing to do with.
No, I really understand that. Like I was on the market for a long time. I did I have a master in oil and gas, but like it's an MBA, it's not an engineering, it's not the technical course. I think I get the point. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. There's a question here. If we're already employed in the industry, is there a minimum experience requirement or a concession in qualification? I think, Martin, we went through the entry.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I was a little fast in going through it.
I
To
think
be fair,
maybe the best thing to do is to send your CV in and to get Siobhan and Martin to review it. Like it's the entry requirements are there, but you really need to see somebody's CV to see if they're suitable. So Nitin, I hope I pronounced your name right.
Yeah, because I think it really does depend is the quick answer to that. But if you send through your application, we can review it and come back to you from there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Is the presentation available for download, Siobhan, Martin? Do you mind giving me the presentation?
No,
I'll send it out to the.
I'll send it to you afterwards there, Jeanette. Yeah, and if you want to share it to anyone who signed up, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
And the webinar is also recorded, so I can send that out to you as well, Jades. Marcia, would you like to begin?
Yes, another question. Sorry, because a friend of mine, she's supposed to be watching also, but she had to go to work. So she doesn't have a stamp for European passport. She would be able to apply for that course as well?
No.
I suppose no.
No,
Okay.
no. She could apply for the course and pay the full amount of
The full amount that's the point.
€4,000. But if she doesn't have a stamp for, excuse me, if she doesn't have a stamp for, then she would be liable to pay the full amount.
Okay, she could apply, but will be the full amount.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
How you doing? It's Keith Hayes here. How you doing?
Hi, Keith.
I'm just wondering your address there. Is that Cork Road in Kilbarry, County Waterford? Is that the address of the actual courses on a Friday, or?
Yeah, it will be on the Waterford campus.
Yeah.
In the
Cork
Applied
Road
Technology
campus,
building. Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of times you start and finish at, maybe?
Martin, will I take this, or do you want to take it?
Yeah, it ties in some of your ones, so it'd be the same schedule. Yeah.
Well, currently, we deliver this program, and the students start at 8 a.m. So they do 8 to 10, 10 to 12. They have a break for half an hour, and then they do another 2 hours, and then they have a meeting with the safety lecturer, which may take up to an hour. Because we're running it slightly differently this year, I think you'll probably start at 9, Martin, will you?
I'm flexible on that as well. So yeah, I'd budget probably keep for maybe 8 to 4 as like the very full day. But in the first semester, actually be shorter because there's 6 hours over Friday. So yeah, the final schedule is just to be finalized. But yeah, we may start earlier. Often professionals prefer to start it earlier and finish earlier.
They were anxious to start at 8 a.m. and be here and then be finished early on a Friday. Or earlier.
Okay. That's probably my only concern. It's just, because I'm traveling I'll be traveling down, sorry, from Dublin. It should probably take, I'm not sure, I haven't checked it, but maybe 2 hours traveling.
Yeah,
Sure,
actually, we had two people doing that this year, traveling from Dublin down. They actually said going earlier is better, you know, because you're not
Yeah.
dealing with, depending where you're
Absolutely.
coming from.
I'd agree. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Anybody else? Okay. As Siobhan said, this is a wonderful addition. If you are in that industry anyway, it's a wonderful addition to look at the renewable energy systems. It's exploding out there, and I think if you look at LinkedIn, you'll see so many electrical jobs out there. We in Wind Energy Ireland have set up a new association. It's called Ireland Electrified. So you can see that's where it's going to go, is you know, Ireland is going to be electrified, so these skills are going to be in high demand over the next 20 years, I'd say. Siobhan, Martin, have you anything to add just before we finish up?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for taking the time to attend the webinar, and hopefully we'll be seeing some of you in SETU soon.
Yep. Likewise, thanks for coming along. If there's any follow-up questions, do get in touch. I'm happy to answer via email or arrange a chat. And hopefully see some of you in the next month. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you for attending, and thank you to Martin and Siobhan for presenting. If you have any queries, please get in touch with me. And if you, I will send out the recording and the slides. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very
Great.
much, everybody.
Thanks for everything, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, folks.